The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Man charged in businessman's murder. Businessman Evrol Dublin, 55, of Tanner Street, was murdered during a robbery at his home on Wednesday, May 19th. Residents heard loud explosions around 9 p.m., but it was not until the following morning that his body was found by his children who came to visit him. Dublin was found on the floor with a wound to his head. Police said the house was ransacked and a safe containing cash and other valuables were missing. Police said Dublin owned Market Suites Guest House, which is located at the front of his home. However, the guest house was closed for renovations. He also worked as a senior refinery operator for Petrotrin before its closure. Investigations are ongoing. One man has been charged for the murder of Point Fortin proprietor Evrol Dublin. The Homicide Bureau of Investigation, HBI, acting on the advice of DPP AG Miss Joan Honor Paul, laid the charge against 27-year-old Ryan Bones, also known as Ryan Bowen, of First Private Road, Mount Hope, on May 29, 2021. According to police reports, on May 20th, Evrol Dublin, 55, was found dead with gunshot wounds by his children at his home. His daughter spoke to him on May 19th via telephone. Crime scene personnel processed the scene, and 4.45 spent shell casings were found along with other items of evidential value, leading to the arrest of Bones. He is expected to appear virtually before the Point Fortin Magistrates Court on June 2nd, 2021, to answer to the charge. Residents of Clarke Bay request urgent exorcism in fear of spirits from boatload of bodies discovered. The discovery inside a foreign pirogue ashore at Clarke Bay Bell Garden last Friday, after it was adrift in the ocean, is not sitting well with villagers in Tobago East. The common view is that the 15 people, all found dead and decomposing on board, were evil, troubled spirits that will seek revenge by taking lives on the beach. Residents are now calling for an exorcism at the site. Spiritual leader, Archdeacon of the Tobago Anglican Church, the Venerable Father Philip Isaac, said a denominational spirit ritual to remove the spirits is possible if it will bring comfort to residents. One villager's voice note warning of imminent danger because the vessel is on the beach went viral on Sunday. The voice note was posted on a Progressive Democratic Patriots PDP members' WhatsApp chat group. The villager claims to have first-hand experience of seeing bad spirits and Jumbie at the beach, having worked there as a security guard for years. He said last week's attempts by fishermen, police, Coast Guard and the Tobago Emergency Management Agency to drag the boat on the shore confirmed his beliefs that bad things will occur at the beach. While they're trying to pull the boat with a rope, a strong rope with a backhoe, the first time I ever see that in my whole life. The rope busts. That is spirit. That is vibes, he said on the voice note. The villager gave a dire prediction. Next thing all you go find when the beach and sea open, Bell Garden Bay has a set of drownings, he warned. Archdeacon Isaac said we should not discount the villagers' beliefs. I would not cast it aside 100%, because if you look at scripture, you will see that there were situations where people who were sent by God were challenged by magicians and so forth. There is evidence of another layer that we do not know anything about. He said the ritual should include different spiritual and religious leaders. Before Jesus left the earth, he gave authority to the disciples and believers in certain areas, and if these areas are considered, well, it is quite appropriate to perform a ritual in the area. Guardian Media reached out to PDP for comment on the issue. Deputy political leader Dr. Faith B. Israel said the villager has a genuine concern, but urged the villagers and others to allow the police to conduct their investigations. Police are investigating the boat's origin and how the men, all dressed in tracksuits and raincoats, may have died. Missing men found after harrowing night. Waze has proven that it may not always be the best option to help motorists find their destination easily and with the least traffic. Friends Nikita Norre and Cassian Worrell learned that the hard way when, after using the app, they were left stranded in Rio Claro with frantic relatives reporting them missing when they failed to hear from them for about 12 hours. A post on Facebook, which was shared numerous times, said the men left Diabadi around 2 p.m. on Sunday to head to Siparia and then Gayagare to make a delivery. The Siparia client reported to the men's relatives that they made the delivery at about 3 p.m. However, the Gayagare client said the men called in to say they were on their way but they never arrived. Worried relatives began issuing appeals on social media and reported them missing, but it turned out that Worrell and Norre, in taking the quickest route via Waze, ended up getting lost. The two reported that Waze took them through Saunders Trace and then onto the Gayagara Catskill Road, Rio Claro, where their vehicle got stuck in a mud bank in the middle of a forest road with no houses for miles around. They could not use their cell phones because there was no internet or data service available. Norre and Worrell had no choice but to spend the night there. Relatives who called the police after calls to their phones went unanswered also began their own efforts to locate the men. Nikita's brother Tevin and members of Hunter's search and rescue team and the Rio Claro police eventually found them. Norre and Worrell are said to be in good spirits following their ordeal. Meanwhile, after news spread on social media that the two were found safe and sound, many social media users also shared their experiences of being taken onto isolated or longer routes by the popular app. Inquest ordered into the death of mom erased by relative. An inquest has been ordered into the death of 36-year-old Nikisha Allen of Simeon Road, Petite Valley. The instruction was given on Saturday by Acting Director of Public Prosecution, DPP Joan Honor Paul. According to police, on May 23, around 6:15 p.m., Allen and her 26-year-old cousin allegedly had an altercation at the residence at Simeon Road, Petite Valley. Police said the 26-year-old was in the kitchen washing dishes when Allen allegedly threw dirty water on her. A struggle allegedly ensued and Allen was stabbed. Around 6:30 p.m., officers responded to a report of fighting at the residence and were told that Allen had been stabbed and had been taken to the St. James Medical Facility by her brother. She succumbed to her injuries around 7:05 p.m. while being treated. Police said 4 knives along with other items of evidential value were recovered from the scene by crime scene personnel. The suspect, who had been detained by the police, was released on May 26 based on the advice of the acting DPP. Allen worked as a laborer at the Diego Martin Regional Corporation and was the mother of 3 children. Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith yesterday hailed the 19-hour curfew, which began at 10 a.m. on Monday and ended this morning at 5 a.m. as a success. As promised by the police commissioner, his charges were out in full force for the Indian Arrival Day holiday yesterday as the curfew took effect. Before restrictions kicked in, however, there were long lines at some gas stations as frantic motorists waited to have their gas tanks filled. And after 10 a.m., the already quiet streets of Port of Spain were transformed into a ghost town, as there were even fewer homeless people milling about. However, accessing transportation before the curfew took effect was difficult for those either on their way to work or home. A nurse assigned to the St. Anne's Psychiatric Hospital, who was at the Crossy San Juan around 9:30 a.m., said there were no taxis at the Port of Spain stand. She was eventually taken to Port of Spain by a Guardian photographer, and then taken to work by the police who were on patrol. Several people were also seen scrambling into maxi taxis just before 10 a.m. yesterday, but others were not that lucky. They were rendered stranded at empty taxi stands. Griffith said the police recognize there will be some essential workers going to and returning from shift duty without curfew permits. In those circumstances, the employee simply needs to produce the company identification card and explain to the officer where he or she is going to or coming from, he said. Such workers include, though are not necessarily limited to, the media, private security officers, healthcare workers, sea and airport workers, and energy sector workers. However, some workers of Guardian Media Limited who were on their way to work during the curfew yesterday were stopped by police officers who demanded that they produce a curfew pass, despite the commissioner making it clear that they can simply produce a company identification card or company letter. Woman dies of COVID despite having no comorbidities. The family and friends of the Rollock's family are reeling from the shock of 34-year-old Rachel Rollock, who died of COVID-19 Sunday morning. According to the Tobago Regional Health Authority, she is Tobago's 11th COVID fatality. She is reportedly the island's youngest victim to succumb to the disease and the only one without comorbidities. A member of the family said Rachel complained of back pain approximately 1 week ago. The woman who worked in the office of the airport authority, Crown Point, allegedly felt it was due to her workout. She was not feeling ill. She had just a little fever and a little chest pain, and she went up to the step-down facility on Saturday. She was walking around, and then in the morning we got the news that she passed away. She was tested positive for COVID. Her first cousin, Nicosie Phillips, told Guardian Media. People at the step-down facility confirmed that Rachel was walking around at the facility, and she seemed to be all right. According to the Division of Health, there are 16 new reported cases of COVID in Tobago, bringing the total number of active cases to 168. Since March last year, there have been 506 cases. On the vaccination front, 5,254 Tobagonians have received their first dose of the vaccination, and 111 have received their second dose.